This week on the Retirement Quick Tips podcast, I'm talking about your money personality type and why it matters. According to Ken Honda, he's the author of Happy Money, there are 7 distinct money personality types. Honda has spent years researching the intersection of psychology and money, and it's important to remember that you may see overlap with yourself across different personality types, and I would say that's pretty normal. But the important thing is to recognize which money personality types most closely resemble your own, how you think, how you make decisions, and so you can better understand your own relationship with money and make better decisions, avoiding some of the pitfalls of each money personality type. So today I want to talk about 3 money personalities, the compulsives: the compulsive saver, the compulsive spender, and the compulsive moneymaker. The compulsive saver is someone who saves just to save. They may end up amassing more wealth, way more wealth than what is necessary, and they often have large savings bank account balances far beyond what they should actually keep in the bank for the sole reason that they just like it. It helps them feel more secure. It helps them to feel like, okay, everything's going to be okay. They just love to spend money. They can't imagine parting with any dollars, even for things that they would otherwise enjoy or want to do. So compulsive savers are very frugal. They have a hard time spending any money at all. And the downside of this personality type is that you usually don't get to enjoy any of that money that you worked so hard to save. So my advice for this money personality type is that it is hard to let go and let some of that money that you worked so hard to save. It's hard to watch that leave your bank account, but it's important to identify the things that you value so you can learn to part with some of your money and do so in a way that will actually increase your satisfaction, happiness, and contentment. So, for example, do you value travel? Not everybody values travel. It's not important to them, but some people do. And so if you do, then travel would be a worthwhile thing to spend your money on. Do you value your health? Do you value being active? If you're a compulsive saver, there probably isn't that many material things that draw you in a big way. You're not wanting necessarily caring about a brand new car or a nice watch or having nice things in general. But maybe you've lived in your home for 30 years and you haven't updated it at all in that time. And it would sure be nice to have a new countertop in your kitchen or a nice bathroom that is up to date and makes you feel good when you use it every single day. Maybe a more reliable car would be something that would be of value, or some convenience that would make your life easier, like spending money on maybe a house cleaner or a landscaper rather than doing it yourself. For a lot of people, that frees up the time for them to be able to do other things, and it's a good use of money. If you can identify what your most important values are, especially when it comes to spending money, you can then begin to justify and talk yourself into parting with some of those hard-earned dollars. Okay, the next compulsive type is the compulsive spender. This is the antithesis of the compulsive saver. You spend money just to spend money, often on things that you don't need, maybe you didn't even know that you wanted. You like to also shower other people with gifts. You like the idea of treating yourself. You treat others too, and you do it just because, like no reason, you just like to do it. Compulsive spenders also tend to be emotional spenders. So they use spending also to put a Band-Aid on stress or grief or loneliness or other negative emotions. And I would say the compulsive spender is fairly dangerous when it comes to money personalities because they tend to get buried in debt and they can never seem to get ahead financially or save for any goal beyond the right now. So they spend money right now at the sacrifice of being able to spend money down the road. That's pretty dangerous because, you get to retirement and all of a sudden you may not have money anymore to spend. And that's going to be a huge shock and lead to a lot less quality of life than if you were to balance the saving and the spending. So my best advice for the compulsive spender is actually similar to my advice for the saver, which is that money is all about trade-offs. So if you spend money in one area, it prevents you from spending money on something else. So you want to identify your most important values so you can spend money in a way that better aligns with those values rather than just throwing everything up against the wall and hoping that something sticks and making you feel good and satisfied and whole. A budget and a serious come to Jesus can be crucial, especially if the debt and the spending is out of control. So the last compulsive type is the compulsive moneymaker. This person is often a workaholic. Compulsive moneymakers believe that more money equals more happiness, and there is no leveling off. Like more money always equals more happiness, and that continues. So the more money you have, the happier you'll be, and there's no cap to that. The compulsive moneymaker or the workaholic, they devote probably most of their time and energy to making more money. They also are never satisfied with what they have. In fact, the idea that one could be content with what they currently have is pretty laughable to the compulsive moneymaker. The compulsive moneymaker, they also crave recognition that comes from financial success. Not always, but often. Status and wealth are important to the moneymaker. You'll often see that reflected in the things that they have, maybe the car that they drive, the watch on their wrist, the designer handbag they carry, whatever. There's outward signs of status and wealth because they want you to know how hard they work. And so there's ego involved there. There's ego involved with all of us in our money personalities, but especially in the compulsive moneymaker. The best advice for the compulsive moneymaker is to make sure that you are prioritizing your relationship over higher levels of achievement and wealth. And you may have to convince yourself over and over and over again every single day that more money, in fact, does not equal more happiness. I've known wealthy people who have had all the money they could ever want or need, but the destruction of relationship in their lives was apparent. They had failed marriages, strained relationships, or worse, maybe no relationship at all with those closest to them, like their children, adult children especially. A lot of compulsive moneymakers have no real close friends and no strong bonds with their family either. All sacrificed at the altar of the almighty dollar. So we want to avoid that at all costs, and that can be a serious pitfall that the compulsive moneymakers can fall into. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Ashley Michike, and this is the Retirement Quick Tips Podcast.